Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF44 coming at you another video. Forgive my beanie. It is what it is. But what we're talking about right now is the Golden State Warriors and the Memphis Grizzlies Game 6. Coming up tonight in Golden State, also known as San Francisco. Now, here's the deal. We witnessed a very demoralizing blowout. The Golden State Warriors played the worst game I've ever seen them play. Klay Thompson was terrible. Wiggins was terrible. Everybody was terrible. And they turned the ball over 22 times. They gave up a bunch of offensive rebounds. It was a dreadful night on the road in the Game 5 for the Golden State Warriors, who were looking to close the Memphis Grizzlies, minus Ja Morant, out. And that's the performance they put up. Klay Thompson ripped the team, said they were terrible, said a lot of different things. I didn't even listen to too many of what others were saying. I did listen to Draymond Green, however, and he was just essentially saying they just need to go back to the drawing board. I said my little piece in regards to how much Mike Brown is, imprint on this basketball game, and it reminded me of old Mike Brown games where the Lakers would have similar results or similar styles of play that ended in us losing. Maybe not this bad, but it looked like a Mike Brown game to me. So I think at the end of the day, when I'm looking at this situation now, I'm like, all right, is Mike coaching still? is Steve Kerr coming back? Because if not, I'm more concerned about more of the same. I think that as soon as Steve Kerr went down with COVID protocol, we found ourselves in a situation where you just have a different voice in place. And Mike Brown is an entirely different type of guy than Steve Kerr. Mike Brown does things a certain way. So what I saw was more stagnation offensively, rotations that provide them more traditional centers on the floor. Damian Lee was used a little more than, say, maybe someone else would. And I get it. The roster is different now because, you got to account for GP2 being out and still having to, now adjust to not having to focus everything on Ja Morant. So, it's not like Mike Brown was going along his business as usual. It was going to be on him to try to facilitate Steve Kerr's wishes somehow via however they were communicating, which is probably difficult in and of itself, or coming up with the game plan himself with his team. And this is what they came up with, and the adjustments they made, to me, seemed like they just were failing miserably. That's what it looked like to me. So that's just my outside perspective. I wasn't watching this game very closely. The stats tell me that a lot of what was going on had to do with Memphis doing a lot of good things for themselves. I take into account that Desmond Bane had a good game. Jaren Jackson played very well. Tyus Jones didn't even turn the ball over. It's really a thing that I think teams need to take note of. Tyus Jones is fantastic at not turning the ball over consistently. And that is a trait that you don't find very often in ball handlers. Now, granted, you got to take into account the amount of time he holds the ball from a night-to-night basis as a backup point guard. You give him a starting job, he's probably going to turn the ball over a bit more. But if a person historically just is good at that trait, that is a big deal. And so I'm paying attention to Tyus Jones. I wasn't aware of that before. I understood he was playing well, but he really showed out in a close-out game situation for his life. In the presence of having to make the adjustment to new minutes, because obviously Ja Morant is out. I'm impressed with the Grizzlies as a whole. Dylan Brooks is still struggling, but his return to the defensive side of the ball after being extracted from basically 2 games was what they needed to fall back in place. And the Memphis Grizzlies are playing with a bigger lineup. Now you're seeing Slow-Mo get even more so involved. I think he was 7 for 8, if I'm not mistaken. That's a big deal, So you're getting stuff out of other people. And, of course, you cannot have this conversation without mentioning Brandon Clark and how well the adjustment worked, putting him back into this series. He was able to get some offensive rebounds. He was able to do some of the similar things that he did against the Timberwolves and ultimately gave them that dynamic that's been absent. So this is now a recipe for success for the Memphis Grizzlies. And coming off a game like that, you have to assume that the Golden State Warriors are still up against it based on how dominant the Memphis Grizzlies looked in that particular matchup after everything is shaken out with players now being removed from the lineup. We know going forward that what we saw is what both teams are going to be working with over the next 2 games, and that is the consistency that wasn't present throughout the beginning of this series. So what I'm telling you is the likelihood that we see more of what we just saw is more so than any other time this series has gone. No new adjustments for the first time. So that's what I'm telling you. Mike Brown is going to have to make real adjustments to what he just saw. And that is making sure that you have athleticism on the floor that can rebound the basketball. That's a lot more Jonathan Kuminga than you've been using. I do believe Moses Moody should be used in regular rotation. He is a lottery pick. He plays defense and he hits threes. Why the heck aren't you using him? I know that Damian Lee is Steph Curry's brother-in-law. I respect that Damian has some skills. He's a baller. I've seen him play well. But I do believe that when you have a lottery pick like Moses Moody, it's so very important to use that lottery pick because it has more value. It's no disrespect to Damian, but you are looking at him trying to raise his value to a place that Moody's already at, just based on where he was drafted. So you gotta understand that in cultivating him, it should be a part of your future, and giving him playoff minutes is very important. So I don't like how they're using him, and I think it's to the detriment of overall what they're doing. Do you really think he can't help you on the glass? Stop being stupid. Play the man. Anyway, so otherwise, I think the Golden State Warriors are in a situation where you can surely expect Jordan Poole to play better than he did. That he should. I know he's been dealing with the elbow, and he did injure it, I guess. I ain't going to say re-injured, but he fell on it, probably hurt it again. So that's going to be a thing. How is that going to affect him going forward? I like when he is a passer for this team. I love, of course, Draymond Green being a ball handler to a degree, but in this series, he's getting stripped. They building a wall around Draymond. They know he's the engine that makes everything go, and he doesn't necessarily have to be, because Jordan Poole can pass like that. You don't have the floor vision of Draymond. Don't get it twisted. But you don't have to run everything through Draymond with the intent of getting everybody the ball. Jordan is a gifted passer. Utilize that skill. He can do it. So that's why I'm like, yo, take the pressure off of Dre, man. Take the pressure off of Dre with some of the playmaking. And don't have him handling the ball for too long. Don't do that. Zaire Williams with the fro. Yeah, I'm feeling it. Keep that up, bro. Keep coming with the energy. I want to see you on the glass. I want to see you hitting your threes tonight. I want to see you in them passing lanes. You're still playing for your lives, Memphis. This is the thing. Like, this is not a situation where just because you blew them out, you should be feeling all good about yourselves. I made a video about how they were, kind of boasting after the game, screaming Grizz in 7 and all. I'm like, yo, you are not in a position to do that at all, because you are down in the series and you're headed back to their house, and they got a lot of freaking championships to back up what it is that they are going to be trying to use in terms of confidence. You cannot think that you're helping yourself by giving them that type of motivation. That's not how this works. You're not the only thing smoking. There's another team on the other side with a lot of talented players. And when you wake them up like you did, you didn't learn from Al Horford. You didn't see what happened with Al Horford. You know what I'm saying? Where he got slapped in the mouth by Giannis and then came back and had the game of his life. That is exactly the type of energy that you conjure up when you behave this way after a team gets blown out like that and they have this type of talent. You do not play with them like that. I understand you may have the advantage in terms of matchups based on your youth and based on the circumstances of your defense. But what you got to understand is when you try to poke a bear like Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, that may be the only thing that they needed to get back on track. And for them to get back on track, it's not necessarily required for them to do everything perfect. It's just required for them to get hot from behind the arc. You are talking about the two greatest shooters to ever play this game. You cannot play with them like that and think that it's going to work out in your favor every time. Could you go out there and win this game, push it to 7? Of course, but you've given the champs, a team that has won championships rather, many, many, many reasons to hate you tonight. And that is not the energy you want when you have your back against the wall. You want them to be whatever their normal thing is, not overly motivated to knock your head off. So even because when you have those matchups that work in your favor, it doesn't mean you're going to have a great shooting night. You might mess around and find out you're cold that night. You feel me? Yeah, you feel good. You just blew them out by 50, but this is a new game. You're going on the road. You're going into their house. And you say you want all the smoke, okay, but you got to know when you're asking for the wrong energy. That's not smoke you're asking for. You're asking to be distracted. You're asking for them to be 10 times more hungry than they otherwise would have been. You're making things harder on yourself when you do that. Don't motivate the enemy unless you're ready for that energy. And you are not. Why? Because the one who's spearheading that is hurt. He's not even playing. And that's I like you're in a weird spot, Ja, because you want to motivate your team and stay engaged. And if that's the energy they're on, that's the energy you should be on. But you can't help them. That's the problem. You can't help them. You're going out here doing this rah-rah, we going to win. You not a part of it. So how can you put them, you're going to put Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in a position to have them aiming at them because of you, and you can't help them. It's not smart, man. I understand that y'all youngsters, y'all don't really see how these things can have a bad reverberating effect on what it is you're trying to accomplish, but you're going to find that out. You're going to find it out. You can't just wolf all the time, especially when you're not in a position of advantage. And even though you won that game, you're still down in the series. So I don't know, man. If I'm Taylor Jenkins, I'm ripping into them dudes. Ain't no way they're going to have a nice flight on the way to Golden State, because I'm going to have that hard conversation I just had in this camera to every last one of those grown men. And I'm telling them, if you're not prepared for the very best of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, we're probably going to get blown out the same way we blew them out. That's what I'm saying if I'm Taylor Jenkins. Because, yeah, is Klay Thompson having issues? Most definitely. He may still be cold. It might not be within his control to play well. But Steph Curry don't have that problem. You will mess around and see 60-point, 50-point Steph Curry. You know what I'm saying? You don't poke the bear. No pun intended, because y'all are the Grizzlies, but you don't do it. You do not do it. Not especially with them two. You're going to really do that with the Splash Brothers, Ja, and you not even out there to play? It's Kyle Anderson that's going to be taking them elbows. That's Jaren Jackson that's going to be having to deal with all that. Not you. You should have been humble. Standing firm, humble. Still focused, but like, while they chanting, you just like, because you the leader and you're not there helping. All that, yeah, not because you can't be there. So I don't know. I look at John, I'm like, man, no. No, you're setting your team up to get eliminated tonight. Straight up eliminated, So I don't know what to expect. I'm not going to put that out there in terms of me believing the Golden State Warriors going to win this game. Not after the way they played. Heck no. Not with Mike Brown coaching. No. No. If Grizzlies do what they're supposed to do, they should win the game. But don't let nobody go cold. Don't get into a situation where Steph Curry starts lighting it up early from behind the arc. You go down 15 points early. Don't let that happen. Because you didn't already started talking. You see what I'm saying? Y'all already been talking. Like y'all about to just win this series. You ain't gonna hear the end of that. All off season long, you ain't gonna hear the end of that. And Ja back it up. But Ja hurt. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't like the Memphis Grizzlies in the series at all. Even under the circumstances that they're in. They just, Hey, and if Steph Curry rolls over, and Klay Thompson roll over, whatever. It was all for naught. It's cool. You know what I mean? Like I said, if you can back up your talking with wins and championships, I'm amused. That's going to always be my thing. And I'm going to be amused tonight if y'all go out and blow them out again. As long as you can back it up. But just know what you're asking for. Know what you're asking for. You're asking for Steph Curry and Klay Thompson to be mad at you. That's all I'm saying. Without no John Morant. So, it is what it is, man. Hopefully, you'll see a good game tonight. I don't want to see another blowout, dude. I'm tired of blowouts. These playoffs in this particular round have not been the greatest. Even though it's lasted, clearly we've gotten extra basketball. Some of the games are just not, I don't know, they haven't been as great to watch as the first round appeared to be for me. But all in all, it's just shaping up to be a good end of the series. And then we'll see what happens. Memphis is a team that tends to make mistakes, but I think they're growing up in this series. I think that's what you're seeing. You're seeing some of the mistakes that they made in the first series. You're not seeing them making the same mistakes in the same way in this particular series. And I think that particular win did a lot for their confidence, to say the least, in terms of what they think they can be in this playoffs. So do I think that they can go out and really put up a good game even if Golden State plays excellent and still win? I think that's possible. I think you can have a Steph Curry game where he goes for 50 and they still lose. If Desmond Bane plays the way he's been playing, Jaren Jackson continues to do what it is he does. If everybody on that team plays with the type of energy that they played with in Memphis, yeah, you can see a situation where even if the Clays and the Stephs go off, they still got to deal with these youngsters. So that's why I think the focus for the Grizzlies needs to be sharp, because you actually can win. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be toying around with Grizz in 7, because you really can win Grizz in 7 if you park it and think and do what you need to do. You know what I mean? But all this rah shows me not focus, and that plays right into the devil's hands. So that devil is Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and of course Jordan Poole and Draymond Green. So they're gonna be looking to bounce back. I expect them to get off to a fast start. That's what I expect. Golden State Warriors, I expect them to get off to a fast start. I expect them to come out chippy. I expect them to be physical. I wouldn't be surprised if we got us a fight tonight, because it's just the presence of all of that talking, you know, and the presence of players getting hurt and all that, people thinking stuff really done on purpose or whatever, and one team might be having to go home while the other team just got blown out. Yeah, this is going to be a physical, chippy, and spirited matchup, you know, and I think the referee's going to tell the story. I really do, because if I'm sensing that, they're sensing that, and they're probably going to call it accordingly. So look out for that. Both teams need to very much look out for that. So that's what I got, man. Of course, I'll get back to you guys on the other game as well. And, you know, it's not about X's and O's in no game 6 at this point. Yeah, we've learned a lot. We got a lot of information. And what have we learned? That these two teams are very inconsistent. They are. So you don't know what you're going to expect. And the adjustments have been substantial for the coaching staff to make. And ultimately, they'll finally get some settle in. Both coaches know what they're dealing with tonight. They have their information from the last game and all the others. And now it's just about applying what you've learned. Game 6, these two teams they know each other now. It's who is going to impose what will on one another. That's it. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching.